Shabbat Shalom. Happy Sukkot. That one comes second. Everybody's second to Shabbat. Hevel Hevelim Hakol Hevel. He's laughing because he knows. That's a very famous line from the book of Kohelet, also known as Ecclesiastes, which I think is a very ugly name for it. So we're not going to use that, the English name. I'm going to call it Kohelet for the rest of this sermon. Hevel Hevelima Kol Hevel, which directly translates as vapor, mist. Everything is just vapor and mist. But if you want to really translate it, it means futility, futility, all is futility. Wow. It's a little dark, don't you think? I think it's a little dark. But our tradition says that the book of Kohelet was written by King Solomon, in his, apologies, I didn't make this up. This is the tradition says this. I'm not making it up. In his older age is when King Solomon wrote the book of Kohelet that we read during Sukkot, which is right now. We like to say he wrote 3 different books. In fact, in the Ketuvim, the writings that are attributed to him are wisdom literature. He wrote Song of Songs, Shir Shirim, with some very, we'll say, romantic poetry. And we say that he wrote that and he was young and full of zest for life. Mishle, Proverbs, we say that King Solomon wrote when he was really hitting his stride, like on top of his, professional game, very ambitious, very busy. He was middle-aged. And when he was older and perhaps a bit jaded about life is when he wrote Kohelet. I'm trying not to insult people. I'm not making it up, though. I didn't say, Sarah said it. Some very, very old guy said it. And to be fair, there are a lot of lines in the book of Kohelet, like Hevel, Hevelim, all is futility. There's a lot of lines in there like that, a lot. It's how this book got its kind of bad reputation. And there's a lot of proof text, you could say, like, Ein tov be'adam she'ochal v'shata ve'her'a et nafsho tov be'amalo. There is nothing worthwhile for people other than eating and drinking and enjoying themselves within their means. Wow. Well, read in isolation, that line is pretty dark. There's nothing worthwhile in life other than a good meal. That's it? That's the most good you'll ever have is a good meal and a drink? That's it? Really? Wow, that's pretty dark. But you gotta put it in context. That line comes at the end of the 2nd chapter. So the whole beginning part of that chapter, Kohelet, which is also the name of the guy who wrote it, or Solomon, Kohelet spends describing, very poetically, he says, I looked around and I decided I was gonna have the best stuff. Just the best stuff. And I worked hard. I worked so hard. And I got it. I had all the horses. I had the most gold, the most silver. I had servants, male servants, female servants. I had the best things, the best places, the best stuff, the best people. I had everything. I worked hard. I worked and I worked and I worked and I got it. And it didn't matter. He says, it didn't matter. Wasn't happy. Didn't do anything for me. And my life ends the way all the other lives end. So who cares? Didn't make me happy. He says, even he goes further, he says, I had the most knowledge. This is very Jewish. I studied and I learned all the time. I amassed so much wisdom. I was the wisest person. Didn't matter. Still wasn't happy. Didn't make me happy. What does a person get for all their toiling, all their worrying that they do in life? He said, it didn't make me happy. All the things and all of the working and the hamster wheel and the go and the go and the go. And it didn't make me happy. It didn't do it. How did it not do it? It didn't work. What did I get for all my working and all my worrying? Nothing, he says. So, then comes the line. Ein tov be'adam. There is nothing good other than eating and drinking and enjoying yourself within your means. Context makes all the difference. He's not saying nothing's worthwhile other than food and drink. He's saying that you could have the best stuff and the most stuff, and you could work the hardest and the most hours and all the time and worry and be the smartest person you know. That's not the stuff that makes you happy. So it's not the stuff that ultimately matters. He's saying it's the simplest things that bring us happiness, like eating and drinking, simple pleasures. Think about the times in your life that you've been happiest. It's when you've enjoyed the simplest of things, the simplest of pleasures with the people who you love. Kohelet is a very practical book, and it is a very no-frills book. And it does require you to be very honest with yourself, but there is a beauty in that honesty. And that's what makes it one of my favorite books. It does not deserve its bad reputation. Sukkot. Why do we read it on Sukkot, this book about valuing things like simplicity over the manic running around of the wheel and getting all the things? Why do we read it on Sukkot? What does that have to do with Sukkot? Well, what better time to think about simplicity than on a holiday where we are literally commanded to build a hut outside. Your house, I'm sure, is very nice. It's got great things. It's got central air. And your sukkah does not, which would be nice, though, in Houston. There's no air conditioning in your sukkah, and if it rains, you get wet. And there's no indoor plumbing. It is a very simple hut that we are commanded by God to build. And what other things are you commanded to do in your hut? Eat a meal. You're commanded to build a simple hut and eat a meal, which most of the time we do with our family and friends, the people we love most in the world. And despite all of its simplicity and all the roughing it feels like you're doing in a sukkah, people love Sukkot. They love the sukkah. Even the people you think who wouldn't actually care. I just had an event, literally. I had to change this whole sermon because of this. I just had an event on Thursday night for young professionals, so 20-something, 30-something, early 40-something, in our sukkah, right here. We have about 40-some odd folks in that sukkah. And I guess I just get used to seeing our sukkah, because to me it's just a sukkah. You know, it's a nice sukkah, it's fine, but it's got walls, it's got some branches, it's got the greatest assortment of fake fruits and vegetables I've ever seen. Like, there's artichokes up there. Have you found the cucumber? There's a cucumber hanging up there. There's like a whole bunch of random fruits and vegetables up there. It's just a sukkah, right? The young professionals, people who, my age, not me, of course, but my age, who get maligned for, we don't care about religion, we don't want to be at the synagogue, we don't care. They love our sukkah. I heard it over and over that night. They love our sukkah. They think it's such an amazing, warm space. It's just such a great sukkah. I heard that over and over. And I think it's also because of what they got to do in the sukkah. They got to sit with people who, many of them, they had not seen each other in almost 2 years. And they got to eat some good food and listen to some great music and just be in this space, stripped down of all that outside stuff that keeps us so busy all the time. That's what the millennials, like myself, responded to in the sukkah, a group who everyone thinks doesn't care about being something like a sukkah. They love our sukkah because that's what Sukkot is about. Sukkot is about stripping away all that outside stuff that keeps us so busy by forcing us to live outside and reminding us what is truly important in life, no matter your age. It's about the simple pleasures, the simple things, and enjoying them with the people you love most in the world. Shabbat Shalom, and Moadim L'Simcha, have a wonderful Sukkot.